So, today we're going to try to solve multi-step equations. So basically, this is exactly what it says. I'm going to do multiple things in one problem. Okay? Most of these are just going to be two-step equations. But eventually, you'll get to where you see problems that you could do 3, 4, maybe 5 things in one problem. Okay, so our main goal is still the same. What has been our goal when we're solving equations?
Get the variable positive and alone.
Perfect. The variable all alone and positive. So the ones that are still a little confusing for us is this problem right here. Right? This variable is alone, but it's not positive. So how do I make negative z into positive z? How do I make this z positive?
Putting a 1 in front of it.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Oh, that's an easy.
How do I make this positive? How about divide by -1? If I divide this by -1, I get positive z, and then it turns my answer into a -6. So essentially, if you have at the end of a problem, a negative variable equals to some number, what really happens is that sign just changes, or switches to the other side, and changes the sign of that number on the other side, either to positive or negative. Okay? So, from here on out, anytime that you solve an equation, the first thing that I should look to do is get rid of parentheses. I think we've already talked about this a little bit, right? Maybe, maybe not. I can't remember. How do I get rid of parentheses?
Distribute the number right next to it.
Perfect. We're going to distribute. Remember, when I distribute, what operation am I doing? But what operation? What kind of math do I do if I distribute? Multiply, right? So, again, the ones that are bothering us a little bit is if there's a negative sign out here, that we don't multiply the negative through the problem. So when we distribute a negative number on the outside, you got to make sure that you distribute it to both parts of the inside of the problem. So, again, back to this one. Remember, I'm distributing. And again, as I said, a lot of you are doing the arrows to tell you that you need to distribute or multiply, but then you don't multiply the second part. Remember, this negative goes along with the 2. So this is negative 2z and what? Positive 14, right? 2 negatives make it into a positive 14. Okay, so this is huge. Every single time, we're going to try to do that. Number 2, before we actually get to solving, you want to combine like terms. And we'll actually get into some of these today. Okay? When you combine like terms, today, they're going to be something like this. 4x plus 3x equals 7. So again, I'm looking at my x's. Today, they should both groups of x's, or whatever variable we're talking about, should be on the same side of the equal sign. So you do exactly what it says. So 4x plus 3x is what? 7x, and then we would solve. Okay? So this is kind of a little different than what we've been doing so far, because on all of the other ones that we've solved, we always use the inverse operation on as we went across the equal sign, but they were on opposite sides of the equal sign. These are on the same side of the equal sign. That's what makes a big difference. And then we'll eventually get to where the variables will be on both sides of the equal sign too. And we'll talk about those when we get there. but that's a little ahead of what we're gonna do, okay? So, from here on out, anytime that it says solve an equation, you need to try to do those two things before you actually solve. So number 3, I'm going to solve. Now, every single time that we've gone so far, we've always looked at the part that has the variable and done the opposite operation, right? The inverse operation. Well, here we're going to have 2 steps. So when you solve today, when we went back to expressions the other day, or when we talked about expressions beforehand, what did we do with expressions? What order did we solve them in? PEMDAS, right? That told everybody the specific order. Well, today, we really want to go backwards in PEMDAS. So, I like to say when you're going to solve multi-step problems, you're going to do SAD-MEP. Right? All that is PEMDAS backwards. Okay? But, if you think about SAD-MEP, what's the first 2 things that you would try to do? Exactly right. So we're going to try to add or subtract something first today, and then do the rest of the problem. That make sense? Okay, so let's get a problem here. And we start out with something like this. 3x minus 4 equals 17. So I'm going to think about doing SAD-MEP, or here's another thing. Another way of thinking about this is cover up the variable. If you cover the variable part of the problem up, you're going to use the rest of the problem and try to solve it. So I'm going to come over here and cover up the variable part. What's left? -4, right? How do you get rid of -4? I'm going to use a positive 4, or I'm going to add 4, right? So I'm going to cover that up, and I'm going to say, I'm going to add 4. Whatever I do to one side, I got to do it to the other side of the equation again. Remember, the other side of the equation is that equal sign. So now, why do we do this? Is because our numbers now should have the same number, but they have different signs. What happens to them? If I have 4 and -4, what happens? They cancel out. So that's why we want to do that every single time. So 3x just comes straight down because this is basically like saying plus 0. And over here, what's 17 plus 4? 21. And then we bring my equal sign down. So again, on top of just solving, you got to think about all the rules that we've gone through, right? If the signs are different, we actually subtract and use the sign from the bigger one. If the signs are the same, we just add and use that sign. So all those rules still apply. And then last but not least, how do I get x to be all by itself? What's happening between 3 and x? So what's the opposite of multiplication? So now I'm going to divide by 3. So this is what we would have just got done doing in the last section, right? My 3's cancel each other out. Remember when I'm dividing numbers, what's left over? If I have the same number divided by the same number, what's left over? 1, not 0. Right? 0 only is when I add or subtract. So I get x is equal to 7. Now, what else? What else can I do to every single problem still? Check. Because why? It's an equation, right? So I should be able to take 7 back to my original problem and check it. So 7 times 3 is 21 minus 4, 17. So realistically, we shouldn't miss any of these, right? If we don't take, or if we take the time to actually do them. Questions here? Not too bad, right? So let's try again. So it does not matter if we start out with the answer. So now we have -16 is equal to 6a minus 4. So again, we have multiplication and we have subtraction, just like the last problem, but I'm going to cover up that a part. So what am I going to do?
Plus 4.
Add 4. Whatever I do to one side,
Do the other.
gotta do to the other. What happens to my 4s on this side? Cancel out again, right? I bring 6a straight down, bring my equal sign straight down. Negative 16 plus 4. Negative 12, right? Now how do I get a all by itself? Divide by 6, right? Division is the opposite of multiplication. If I divide by 6 on one side, I got to divide by 6 on the other side. My 6's cancel each other out, leaving me a or 1a. And what's negative 12 divided by 6? Negative 2. Don't forget that negative sign. Okay? What do you think? Not too bad, right? Okay. So, another version of this would be the same process in a sense, but remember, now we can also have division in there instead of multiplication. Remember now, when I have division in the problem, I could have a negative, now this doesn't have negative at all, but I could have a negative either on the top, on the bottom, or out in front of my fraction, right? The other day, where did we tell you we want to put that negative? With the number all the time, okay? That avoids my variable being negative, okay? So again, I'm going to cover up the variable part. How do I get rid of plus 8? Minus 8. If I subtract 8 or minus 8 on one side, gotta do it to the other side. What happens to my 8s? Still cancel, because same number but different signs, they always cancel out. So I bring my n over 5 straight down. Remember, this just shows me division. What's 3 minus 8? Negative 5. Again, if this bothers you, what do? Take 2 seconds and write it over here, right? And show myself that I'm going to keep, change. So if you still have to do that, that's totally fine. Don't be ashamed of doing that. It's better to get it right than not showing any work. Some of you got to show way more work on your problems. So what do we get? Sorry? Negative 5. So now, what's left over is division. What's the opposite of division? So what am I going to multiply by? Whatever's on the bottom, right? I multiply by 5 on one side. Got to multiply by 5 on the other side. Why do I write it this way? Because when I multiply fractions, the first thing I look is diagonal, and they cancel each other out. So n is equal to how much? Negative 25. Last but not least, again, I could check it, right? Negative 25 divided by 5. Negative 5 plus 8. Positive 3, right? Negative 5 plus 8. 8's bigger than 5, so it would be positive. Okay? Try this one by yourself. 8 over n over negative 6. I said 8 over. 8 equals, sorry, minus 5. Try that one by yourself. Get an answer? Everybody?
Yep.
First thing that you did,
Plus 5.
added 5. Both sides. 5's cancel out. I'm left with n divided by negative 7 equals 8 plus 5.
13.
What do I multiply by? Negative 7, right? Don't forget to take that sign with you. So if I multiply by negative 7 on this side, I do it the same thing on this side. My negative 7's cancel out because they're diagonal from each other. So n equals negative
91.
91. How do we do? Any questions with any of those kind? Okay. The next one I want to show you, basically the exact same kind of problem, just one little wrinkle in it. So it looks like the exact same kind of problem, right? What would I do here? What's the first thing that I would do?
Cover up the
Okay, and
minus negative or subtraction.
add 2, right? Because it's already negative. So I'm going to add 2. And I'm going to add 2 to this end. Everybody agree? Okay. So my 2's again over here cancel each other out. Now notice what happens. I'm left with negative 3k. All the other examples that we've done so far, when we got to that step, the variable had a coefficient in front of it that was a positive number. This one just has a negative. Okay. So I want you to be aware of that. So when I would solve for my k here, remember, my goal is that my variable is all alone and positive. So what am I going to divide here by? Negative 3, right? Because I want to make this into a positive, and how do I make a negative into a positive? Divide it by another negative. 2 negatives will make it into a positive. So that's really what you got to be aware of. And then don't forget, when I go to the other side, I'm still dividing by negative 3. So my negative 3's cancel each other out, but I'm left with positive k now, right? 2 negatives make a positive. And what's 12 divided by negative 3?
Negative 4.
Everybody's okay with that? But that's really important. If there's a negative in front of the variable, that you divide by a negative. Okay? Want to see another one of those guys? Yes? Okay. I'm going to put another wrinkle to you and see if you get this one. 3 minus c equals 7. Try that one by yourself. Just a little wrinkle because why? There's no coefficient this time, right? What's the coefficient?
The number next to the variable.
1.
What?
1.
What?
1.
What's the coefficient?
Negative 1.
Negative 1 is the coefficient. That's the kicker to this one, right? Right. So this one's a wrinkle, isn't it? Stumped a couple of you finally. So again, look, cover up the negative c, right? Always cover up the variable part. So how do we get rid of positive 3? Subtract it, or a negative, right? If I do it on one side, I got to do it to the other side. So my 3's cancel. I'm left with negative c. Don't forget that minus sign. Just because it looks like a minus sign, now it is a negative sign. How about on the right-hand side? What do I get?
4.
Positive 4, right? 7 minus 3. And then how do I get negative c to be positive c?
Negative 1.
Divide by negative 1. Remember, this is just saying negative 1 times c, really, right? So now I'm going to divide. My 2 negatives cancel, leaving me positive c, which we like. And then 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. So I get my answer in C. Okay? Questions here? So notice, in all of our problems, we didn't have to do the first 2 steps, right? We just had to go and solve. So the next thing we have to do show you is how we do these ones. Okay? Any questions with the ones that we've already done? All right. So, let's move this over here. And get another problem. So let's do this one. 2, what did I have up there? A minus 8a equals 24. So again, the directions would still say solve the equations. So the first rule said that we wanted to get rid of parentheses. We still don't have any parentheses. The second one said combine like terms first. So now we have 2 groups of antelopes, or apples, right? So again, this is a concept that you really got to start to grasp. If the variables are on the same side of the equal sign, right? You do what the problem says. So what's 2a minus 8a? Negative 6a equals 24. So that's my simplifying part. Now I just do the problem. How do I get a all by itself? Divide by negative 6. My negative 6's cancel out, so a is equal to negative 4. And again, what can I do? I can check it, right? I can put negative 4 into here. What's negative 4 times 8? Or sorry, negative 4 times 2.
Negative 8.
What's negative 4 times negative 8?
24.
How about positive 32? What's negative 8 plus 32? Does that work? Yeah. All right, how about this one? So, try this one all by yourself. K plus 8 minus 3k equals 18. What's for lunch today?
Hamburgers.
Again, we just had hamburgers.
That's what I was saying.
I like them. Yeah, right. Get an answer? All right, so remember, number one, get rid of parentheses. So don't have any parentheses, right? Number two, combine like terms. What's k minus 3k?
Negative 2k.
Negative 2k. Negative 2k plus 8 equals 18. There's one question. Is this any different? These two equations right here? Are those different? No, right? Negative 2k, positive 8, positive 8. I just write it in different order. Okay? Did everybody get this part? On your own? Okay? So, cover up the k. What do? Subtract 8 from both sides. 8's cancel each other out. Negative 2k equals 10. Positive 10. How do I get k by itself? Divide by negative 2. Awesome. Negative 2's cancel out. K equals negative 5. How do we do? I mean, not very good.
I missed a step.
You missed a step. So we better do another one of those kind?
Yeah.
Okay. 8y minus 9y plus 6 equals negative 4. Try her again. Go slow. Go through all the steps and show your work. So again, no parentheses yet, right? So we can go to step 2. Combine like terms. Bring your y's together. But again, they're on the same side of the equal sign, so you just do what it says. How do we do? Did you get an answer?
Yeah,
Are you right?
hopefully.
That didn't sound very confident. How about you? Everybody got an answer?
Yeah.
First thing, what's 8y minus 9y?
-1y.
Negative y or negative 1y, right? You can always put that 1 in there. Okay? Everybody get that step okay?
Yeah.
Cover up the y. How do you get rid of positive 6? Negative 6. Negative 6 on one side, negative 6 on the other side. My 6's cancel out. I'm left with negative y equals what?
-10.
Everybody get that far? Now how do I make y positive? Negative 1 on both sides. Two negatives cancel out, leaving me positive y. That's what I wanted, right? All alone and positive. Negative times, or negative divided by negative makes me
Positive.
positive 10. How do we do?
Good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay? Now, there's none of these honestly on the homework, but I just want to show you this so you can kind of see what the parentheses ones are. So here would be an actual multi-step equation because we'd have to do 3 different things, right? So notice here, number 1 rule, get rid of parentheses, right? So I'm going to take my number and distribute it through there. So what would I get?
Plus 10.
Plus 10, right? And again, this is some of the things that I've seen is that you definitely do the first part and you do it right, but you forget to multiply the second number sometimes. You got to go all the way through the parentheses. Now it's just right back to what we've been doing, right? So that's the only other extra step. Cover up the y and we get what? Right? Try one more. Negative 15 equals negative 4 parentheses m minus 23. Try it out. What am I going to distribute?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. Don't forget the negative sign.
Whoa.
Get an answer? Am I right? Anybody else get that? Apparently not. So, did I do it right? Negative 4 times m, negative 4 times negative 23. Am I wrong there? Did you get 92? Everybody? Subtract 92 on both sides, right? So two negatives, I just add and use that negative sign, so I got 107. Everybody agree there? Equals negative 4. And then can I take 4 and divide it into 107? No. So here, if you punch this into your calculator or try to do the division, you're going to get a decimal, right? From here on out, this is way better than a decimal. Leave it as an improper fraction. Okay? But why did it turn positive? Two negatives make this whole thing positive. So you should have got 107 over 4. Now again, these kind of problems won't be on your assignment. I just wanted to show it to you. Okay? Any questions with the other ones? Don't forget these kind of problems right here. Where you end up with a negative variable at the end, you got to divide by negative 1 on both sides. Okay? That's really, really important. Any questions? Again, you guys scare me when you just